Okay, good. Now this is good lighting. All right, here's an update for anybody interested. Basically, right now I'm in the process of obtaining a job. I've already, I applied to about 8 places, haven't gotten one interview, but it's just the grit involved. Apparently, is just you wake up and you just check more job openings related to your field. So for me, it's an entry level position in structural engineering. And so then you also at the same time adjust your resume to make it as clean as possible. Make sure that everything is working out well, and then also it's about making sure that you don't fail at things like hygiene or just skipping out on the gym, making sure that you don't gain a lot of weight. I've gained a little bit of weight, just maybe about 1 or 2 pounds, but overall, it's not necessarily been a struggle, but basically, this is what the days since about a month ago have entailed. And other than the fact that I finished the Dark Tower series, which I'm pretty happy about, and other than the fact that I'm constantly reviewing material that I think is going to be useful for the job and to talk about. So I'm also looking up videos related to finite element analysis, which I think is important as a general understanding of things. Because in structures, that's like all you do is finite element analysis. But to understand it to the extent that you're able to do almost any problem is another thing. And that is kind of like what I've been trying to do. Like at night, I'll just look up videos related to finite, and then I might go flip through some pages of this book to see, oh, that's right. So that's why we learned about the stress tensor or whatever, like something like that. And, all these things that didn't seem relevant are now apparently, once you try to understand the advanced stuff, actually make a connection and have an actual practical basis to it. So, this whole month has been about that, and I don't know. I feel like it's kind of sucked a little bit because of the fact that I haven't been able to get an interview. So I don't necessarily know what that's attributable to, because I've asked people about their interviews, and when they see their emails, like, oh yeah, we noticed you went to Berkeley. That's great. As in that's a big deal. Because I was a little bit skeptical. I thought, well, maybe the fact that you went to a school doesn't really matter. And I'm not entirely verdant. Or naive. I know that to a large extent it doesn't matter, but to the extent that she's getting like 4 times more interviews than me with experience, and yet they point out her education, I don't know. It's very questionable. On the other hand, she could be applying to more positions than me, or just applying to positions in San Francisco, and that might be the reason why. Because I'm applying to other places, and they might look at my address and say, well, this guy lives too far away. But, because I applied to Florida, I applied to out of state. I didn't apply so much to California because they require an EIT, but screw it now. I realized that it doesn't really matter. You just, as long as it says, as you have your BS, if they're going to see your application, they're not going to just automatically throw it away because you don't have your EIT. They're going to try to do something. They might ask you something about your progress on that. And my progress is obviously that I could do it in about 2 months. So I'm still studying for that. I finished the like I said, it's finished Dark Tower series, did the GRE. So, when it comes to a personal level, they should be able to determine that I'm fit for their company. They're just, I don't know. I just haven't been recognized yet. So hopefully it works out. But the other thing though is, if I had experience in an internship, I'm almost certain that I would have gotten a lot more callbacks and a lot more replies to my application. But it's just not it's just not happening. You know what I could probably do is go to career fairs that at Sac State and see what's going on with that. I could try to do that because it's not that hard. But then they're mostly looking for people who want to be interns, and I'm not trying to be an intern. I'm trying to do the next level of that, which is the entry level, and that's just because I feel that my knowledge base is such that it exceeds the internship level of the student quote unquote student level, and I wouldn't know why. I wouldn't understand why I should do an internship, because apparently I have all the knowledge and the even the experience to start the entry level. Our senior project was just the typical normal project related that you would do in an entry level position, not intern, but actually an entry level position that you get $60K per year from typical. Well, the money doesn't necessarily matter too much, but the fact is that I think I'm qualified for the entry level. Now, if it just so happens that, like I said, that they react to me during the interviews, that they don't feel that I do have that knowledge base, then of course I'll go take the internship. But I don't know that yet. So, because I can't get the interview itself doesn't mean that I would not be able to perform the interview well, or I would not be able to show my knowledge base. Because apparently I do show it very well. For some reason I'm not getting interviews. So, okay, that's it. It's been relatively benign around here and a little bit boring, and, whatever you want to call it. But for the most part, it's not Berkeley level education or Berkeley level torture. The only torture is the fact that you just got to keep waiting and waiting, and I don't even know if I'm doing the right thing. That's the other thing that irks me, because I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. It's like, am I really doing the right thing by just going on Indeed? It's like, well, theoretically, you should go on Monster, Indeed, do the handshake thing, everything you possibly can, but that's a lot of shit. But the Indeed.com, that is supposed to help you out very well. I mean, there's a lot of openings there, and so I don't know. I'll just keep trying and see what happens. But I mean, obviously, I'm not necessarily going to see what happens. I'm gonna try to adjust based on what's the current conditions. Like, for example, right now, the current condition is that I should say yesterday the condition was that my resume was too complicated. I didn't realize that just how much of a difference it made in the quality of the resume, whether or not it was going to be whether or not you were going to include, try to include as much information as you possibly can, or to be general and then just explain or be specific if they're curious. So in other words, because my position would involve something very specific, so I'm thinking they're going to want a specific thing there. But instead, I guess you just still keep it as general as possible. So I basically deleted all my descriptions, and then people that were reviewing my resume say, "Yeah, it looks good." I'm like, "Wow, are you serious? That's all you looked at?" But then again, if they're trying to be as objective as possible, I think that's really, resume is just being as terse as possible. So you would think that anybody should know that, but it just doesn't seem right when it comes to the field I'm applying to, because of the fact that every firm kind of does the same thing, and if you don't show that you know that you have a very specific understanding of what they're doing, then it may show that you're not qualified for it. So for that special position. So it doesn't. That's why it didn't make sense to me why they wanted me to cut everything down. But I got objective information from two people saying the same thing. So I'm thinking, well, it's not necessarily BS, and they're both very, very smart people, and they've applied to jobs many times before. So I sort of trust them. I mean, I was before this. I was talking to my mom, asking her for that, and I mean, what's she gonna say? So she wasn't being objective, and then my brother doesn't know, and then so many other people don't really know. I mean, and then if I were to ask my dad, I should probably ask him, but basically, it was just a matter of keeping it short. So now I'm gonna go in and then just go see what's going on with the jobs. But yeah, that FE thing is not that easy. I'm making sure that I just read gradually, even though the finite element analysis topics sort of keep me occupied a little bit more than they should, which basically means that they're very interesting to me and I like them, the topics, but they're very distracting. So anyways, thanks for watching.